So here we are. I am starting to make these YouTube videos. I was doing a lot of stuff on TikTok, but I figured for more long form content, this is the platform to be. Today I'm going to be taking these Amazon lights that I bought. They're about 30 bucks a piece, and I'm going to be making my own light bar for my 2023 Toyota Tacoma. So it's actually pretty sunny here in New York. We don't get that much, but the first thing I got to do is take this light bar off. I'm going to take the whole bar right off the truck. I'm going to disconnect this wiring, runs down my windshield into my switch panel that's under my hood, and then take this light bar off of the Prinsu rack bar, and then we'll start putting together those lights. Okay, I just undid all the wiring. I'm going to take my drill, my T30. I'm going to take these 4 bolts out and just take the whole light bar and bar right off. In theory, I should be able to just pull this right up and it should come right out. Just like that. So now we have this light bar. I'm going to take it off of the Prinsu rack rails and we're going to go make our own. So I got this light bar unattached from my Prinsu rack crossbar. So I'm going to go put this away, I don't know, somewhere over here. The lighting's better over here. In this fancy Ziploc bag, went to the hardware store. I got little 1-inch quarter 20s. If you have any of these Prinsu racks, Sherpa racks, any roof rack company that uses this style bar, you can get these carriage bolts. They have the rounded, focus. There we go. They have the rounded head on it like this, but they also have a square. I don't know if you can see it, it's right underneath. And that locks perfectly into this track right here. Then on these Prinsu racks, they have these nice little entrances here. So you would take this and it slides right in. You line up that little square. Come on, man. Just like that. That little square piece keeps it from spinning. So you can drive a nut right onto here and it won't spin, so it can tighten right down so you can mount anything. So I have 14 of these. I have 14 washers and 14 nylon nylon nuts. They're lock nuts. When I go to mount these lights, 14 of these will be in there. Then we'll add our washer just like this, and these nuts that I'm using have the little nylon insert here, so that kind of keeps it from backing off on itself. So when you're driving down dirt roads or whatever, it won't come up. So that's kind of cool. I got some wire to wire these lights, obviously. Each light pulls about 4.2 amps, I think. There's some calculation, like 500 watts. Some calculation, 4.2 amps, and I'm putting at most four four-lights on one circuit, 3 lights on the other, and they're all going to share a ground or a neutral. So for the positive wire, I'm going to be using 12 gauge, and for the ground, I'm going to use 10 gauge because it has all 7 lights on the one line, so it needs a little bit bigger wire so it can handle that load there. This wire is nothing special, but it can be used for automotive DC. It's aluminum, it's copper clad, I believe. So it has copper on the outside of the wire, but it's aluminum wire. It's okay for 12 volt use, so I'm gonna use it. We also, these are really cool. I also have some of these. They're called Deutsch connectors. It's kind of funny. Or DT connectors. They're very common in the automotive world. So to make it easy for me to take off my light bar so I don't have to run a wire when I make this harness all the way down to my engine bay. I can have a whip from my control panel to this, and then on the end of my light bar that I'm about to make, I'm gonna have this on the other end, so when I'm all done, you just push this together. In theory, why is it not going? Hello? Okay, let's try this again. And then when I have everything put together, in theory, you should just be able to, it clicked. So now it's got a nice watertight connection. You can see it has those little like rubber grommets there on both sides. And then on the inside as well, I don't know if you can see in there, that orange thing, it seals it tight from all the water. And then you have these little things that you connect to the wire itself, that you push through these, and then what that'll do is make it so when you push these two together, it goes right into each other and it makes a nice solid watertight connection, and I won't have to have any issues when I'm off-roading. Water and all that won't get in. So I'm kind of excited for these. Okay, so we are inside now, and this is everything that I will be using today. I have my 7 lights, my amber and my whites. I have the Princer rack, zip ties, wire, my socket, my washers, tape, heat shrink, wire loom, my hardware, the DT connectors, the barrel connectors for the wire itself, hair dryer for the heat shrink. I have needle nose, strippers, my linesmans for crimping, and side cutters, and a pair of scissors. I think this is everything that I'm going to be using. These are the lights I got from Amazon. They come in amber or white. They have a solid DRL, and then they have their running light color. So that's why there's going to be 3 wires here. You got your black is your ground, this red one is your positive wire, and this yellow one is going to be your DRL. First thing I'm going to do with these is take the brackets right off of them and mount them right to my roof rack and get the spacing to where I want them to be. So now I got these separated, and I'm going to do that with the other 6. Okay, all 7 of these lights are separated from these brackets here. I'm going to now attach it to the roof rack bar. Like I mentioned before, I got all this hardware from Runnings, and it's all stainless steel, so it shouldn't rust. So I just put these in kind of evenly spaced right here. So I'm going to put these brackets on and look at it. So you can see once these are on, they look kind of evenly spaced. Now I'm going to drop these washers onto each one of these bolts here, and then after that I'll put one of these nylon hex nuts on and tighten it down. So what I'm trying to do is line up the back of this bracket to be flush with this part of the roof rack mount. I'm pretty sure I have to put the lights on this before I tighten these down, because I don't think I can get my Allen key in between these here. So I have all my lights wired up now, and I'm going to start the wiring process here. I have these barrel connectors. They're uninsulated, so I'm going to put heat shrink around each one, but they look like this, and you just put your wires on each side and then you crimp it down and it holds the wires together. And then I'll put heat shrink on top of that so it does not conduct anywhere else. I'm going to be using this yellow wire for the DRL, and I'm going to go directly to this yellow wire that's on the light here. So I'll jump from here all the way down. The ground, I'm going to use this 10 wire, this 10 gauge black wire here for the ground. Because I'm going to every single one, I need a thicker gauge wire to handle the amperage that's going to be going through there. And then for the other 2, I'm going to be using blue and red. I'm going to use red 12 gauge wire for all of the white ones, and then I'm going to be using blue 12 gauge wire for all of the yellow ones. They're going to be switched separately, so that's why I'm running 2 separate wires for those. I'm going to start by doing the DRL, the daytime running light, and I have to run everything so the pigtail is on the left side of the light bar or the driver's side, because that's where all my wires run down into my engine bay with the KC wire mold hider. So here's what the wire loom and the harness looks like, all taped up. I think it looks very clean. I'm going to slide a couple washers into this channel right here and zip tie this right to the back of it and have all these lights have a nice little loop behind them. And this is just so it's clean and it's not banging on my paint. Here's the DT connector I was just talking about. This is the insert that goes inside of this, and these little pins here go on the wire and they go through this side, so these pins will stick out on the inside of here like that. And then this is the other half of it, which has a different type of receiver, and when I click these two together the wires will connect and it's a watertight connection. I've got my DT connector hooked up, and if you look in here there's 4 pins. You can see the 4 pins on the inside, and that's the wires pushed through the end. It's all watertight now. I got my wire loom up to here, and it's pushed through this gasket, this orange gasket right here. So now that's all that's left is to make my whip for this side and then hook it up to the truck. Alrighty, this is day 2. I just got back from the gym, so I kind of look like this, but this is all finished and I'm going to throw it on the roof rack right here. This is the other half of the harness that I made. This is going to get ran down my windshield and go into my aux beam switch controller. I'm going to show you the aux beam switch controller and where I'm running the wires down. The audio might suck because my mic is facing the wrong way. So here's my switch controller. It goes from the battery, and then it has a separate wire that goes into the fuse box, so I can't turn any of these on if the truck is not running. And you can bypass that, but I don't, because I like the security of if I forget to shut something off, I know that the switch controller will shut it off when there's no more power coming from this fuse here. It acts like a switch. This is the KC wire mold hider. It's pretty cool. My wires just tuck right inside of that. I run it all the way up, and then it goes behind the light bar, well, behind this wind fairing. So it works out pretty good. So I have this wire routed up here to connect to my light bar, and now I'm just going to use this little plastic tool to push the wire inside of this KC wire hider, and it'll go all the way down, and then I feed it through that little piece of trim. It goes down into this channel and it comes out through here, and then I can connect everything right here to this switch panel. So light bar, whoa. Alright, light bar is connected. The wires are connected. Now I just need to go down there and connect the wires to the switch panel, and then these should turn on. Those are all hooked up. The hood is closed. My switch controller is right here, and I have it on flood for the whites, amber for the amber, and roof light for the DRL right here. I still have 2 more spots open on my switch controller. I'm going to turn the lights on, but I'm going to put you down the way a little bit so you can kind of see what they all look like, and then I'll show you how bright it is from the other way around. So I'm hoping you saw that. Maybe I forgot to record, but now I'm going to show you what it looks like from out here when I turn those lights on. There's a flood, amber, and both. So just a little recap here. These are Amazon lights. Made my own light bar. It's pretty easy if you know what you're doing. I know this video is probably not put together very well. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I can try to answer it to the best of my ability. But for now, this is how she sits, and yeah, so hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.